Cominciamo. Vado subito.
Giovanni, we do it in English now because you are so brave.
It's amazing. Maybe also I now have new things, you know. And
Yes.
new perspective than I ever thought.
Wow, yeah.
Like that image in the end, to finish it in such a quiet, no movement.
Welcome to the after-screening discussion for Helena Wittmann's Human Flowers of Flesh, competing in the Concorso Internazionale of the 75th Locarno Film Festival. It's a pleasure to have here at the desk with me the responsible for sound and music, Nika Son, the cast, Angeliki Papulia and Mauro Soares. And the director, writer, cinematographer, and editor, Helena Wittmann. I'll start us off with a few questions, then open up to the floor for questions. So, Helena, let's start with the title of your film, Human Flowers of Flesh. It is poetic, inviting, but at the same time, the meaning remains elusive.
Yeah, and that's exactly what interested me, of course, in this title, because somehow you think you could grasp it, but then it keeps alternating. I don't know. It keeps like it disturbs a little bit, because of course it's like how the words are said and how they are related to each other. And I think this was, it was kind of a gift from a friend, this title, not related to that film in the beginning. And then it stayed with me throughout the film, and it became the title. And I always said, like, as soon as I would understand it complete, as soon as I don't have any more questions to it, I would have left it aside. But it remained with us. Actually, yeah, with us. Then it became like really the title we always talk. We used it, and it's yeah. So.
And this morning at the press conference, you shared a story that I'm going to ask you to repeat because it was so good, and I think it'd be nice to share with the audience. You said that the film crew and yourself, you all lived and sailed on the same boat as the character for a large part of the production.
Yeah, that's true. We were really together all the time. It was very close. Of course, it was also a special time because it was during the pandemic. This doesn't play any role for the film itself, but certainly for making it, and it was so special to be able to share this space, this limited space, but then it's, wide, and it's, I love shooting on the boat because it's so focused. It's very concentrated, and like Mauro and the others, they slept really in 9 square meters in bunk beds, so it was super dense. And and also on, like, in each place we were together, and we were really discovering the different landscapes, the places, and I think all of us were open, like receiving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, in a way, the film crew reflected the crew of in the film. And so, I wanted to ask the actors how that influenced your relationship to character. Did you feel that maybe you were merging with the characters to a greater extent than in other films?
For me, it helped me a lot that we were all together in the boat all the time, because it felt like we were sort of family there, and we spent so much time doing everyday life stuff, like eating, sleeping together, going to the toilet, swimming. We were doing like everyday life stuff. So it like from day 2 or 3, we became very close, which was great for us, and for the film, of course. Mm-hmm. And for me, because Ida spends her life at sea, so she's always with these people, surrounded by these people. So it was for me very, nice to feel that we were all together there, and there was that kind of understanding and that kind of, sharing everything. That helped me a lot.
Yeah, in this project, this is very specific, I think. For me, I had this problematic, how could I be channeling all this that was happening to us, right, really happening to because we were in a boat for like 2 weeks, and how could we channel this into cinematic language to such a small, although there's this time that we see what we are living there, and there was so much of the experience of being permanently inside this shell that floats, that it's stopping us from going down and keeping us away from land. So how for me it was a real questioning of how this is so real and so magnanimous. How can I translate it in this scene? So as actor, this was for me like the point, or the problem.
Mm-hmm.
How can we be real? Because I knew a little bit of Elena's work, so I knew that this would be kind of for me personally like a key, like how can I channel it, more so than how, not even translate, because I knew that maybe you would not want, like, for me to, or for us to deliver something that is comprehensible through like more more direct language. So this would have to go through the body, to go through other channels. I don't know. So of course this experience of being there, and not being there in, like, we would sleep in land and then go there just to film like we would do in a normal film. Really being there for weeks and weeks, surrounded by water, all of this was the matter. This was.
And I wonder whether this aspect of production is almost essential to making a film like this, because in terms of the cinematography and the sound, a film that is this impressionistic and this sensory, to what extent can you plan it ahead of time, and to what extent are you just adapting to circumstance?
Yeah, I mean, also in other films where we work together, or in all the other films we work together, it was always the case that Helena and me sort of worked separate and together, and sort of this being separate from the camera is a great gift for me also, because I can explore, for example, the boat in a completely different way, and for me, it was also sort of escaping sometimes from this very tense or dense living together for 14 days, and being sort of on my own with my headphones, and also sometimes at night and listening to the boat. Or I remember one situation, all the others were upstairs and they were talking, and I was downstairs, and there was this water tank. When the water was reduced, and so the tank was super loud, and it with the waves it swept from one side to the other, and it made sort of such an incredible sound that it also was in the film, but sort of hidden a little bit. And all these experiences on the boat, it's so special. And I think with Helena, because I don't record so often on film sets, I'm more sort of musician and sound designer, but with Helena, I mean, it's a great gift to be on set and be, from the first day, sort of be included into the whole story. And yeah, I think I forgot the question.
Not at all.
No, but I think this, like how you do it, of course it plays a big role. I mean, I think it's also in many terms, like when you think about making a film, I think like how you make it, how you work together, how you structure time means a lot. It's also political. I mean, it's like okay, how do we work and how do we act in this world? And then, of course, we make a film, we find a form, and yeah, but so it definitely plays a role also in images.
In case there's any,
I like this. So we'll come.
in case there's any questions from the audience, please raise your hand. One up here. We have a microphone in the front here.
May I speak Italian? Okay.
Do we have a
But
translator?
do you translate, please?
You can.
I'll try.
Please.
Yes.
I have only one simple question. I also spent 2 weeks on Barcavella, and I know what does it mean. I was often in Corsica swimming and seeing full moon and so on, a nice crystal water, but now I speak English. Volevo chiedere cosa voleva trasmettere, che messaggio voleva trasmettere con un film così al pubblico, perché lei parlava delle sue esperienze to be together. This is really a big experience, but cosa voleva trasmettere al pubblico con un film così? Con delle scene prolungate assolutamente per me non significative. Swimming, you swim, I don't know, 2 hours, 2 hours, picture like this. I love movie in general. I love film festival. I follow this festival since 35 years. But I'm sorry, but it's incredible. A movie like this is for you to enjoy together, seeing you're staying together 2 weeks in a small place, but not for a publicum. This is, of course, my opinion. My opinion. Some other people may have other opinion. This is my opinion, and I hope it's possible for a person, è possibile per una persona di esprimere anche la critica e di poter anche discutere su quello. Per quello è la mia domanda: cosa voleva trasmettere con delle immagini per alcuni minuti, blu, and so on, and so on, and so on.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
So I think you understood, right? It's like well, I mean, of course, like I can't answer this question in general because I don't believe in such thing as the audience. I don't think it exists. We are all like very different subjects, individuals. We share some experiences maybe. So this is very difficult to answer in that sense because there is not an
a movie like this.
Yeah. No. I feel the anger, but actually there is the thing is there is no direct message, you know, and it's I think it's completely okay to be angry or to be bored or whatever. I mean, it's I'm also bored with other films, so it's completely fine. But this is nothing. I can't help you with it, you know.
But
I'm really sorry. No, I'm really sorry, but it's.
I think every movie have to
justify, but I don't think so.
Not to have a message.
Yes, but I don't think this is the thing. It's like this. I don't believe so. I think there are many things, many questions that are aroused, that I rise, or that the film rises, and you can relate or not. Of course, you can not relate, and that's totally okay. But I can't give you the key. It's it's not about believing.
May we have another question? Here at the front.
Hi, I enjoy like the photography and everything, but I'm upset because I came from like the Sardinia and it's under course, so you didn't show my place. But by the way, I was wondering like how you came out with an idea, why like how the idea came up to your mind to tell this sailing from north to North Africa.
It's actually it's based on many observations, like in this place. So actually, like this first moment, it's kind of, I don't think there's like a real initial moment or like an idea. I didn't sit down and write it. It was more, I discovered this Foreign Legion at a moment, and I saw it, and I was quite surprised in a way that it still exists. And I asked myself, why? And so I started observing it. And then it was really this that led me to the different. That's also why it's not Sardinia, because they have like a huge regiment in Corsica, and then they have their past in Algeria, which is, of course, for the colonial history of France. So it's about this, and there were all these layers that are there now in the film that are, of course, subtle. But they are inscribed in the surfaces as well, because surfaces are very concrete, and they tell a lot if you pay attention, I believe, or I see it, or I understand this way. This is how I grasp. So this is why the passage goes this way and not another. No, I know, but anyway, it relates to also the way, like why, because then things come together, and I think this working with the sea, with the previous film I made, I was also working on the sea, but it's a very different perspective on the sea. And this time it was really more about the matter, and like where do the borders dissolve in many terms, like physically, but also of ideas of history, like times, and well, anyway.
I believe there was a question one row ahead, no? Okay. Over here.
Thank you for the movie. I just want to ask the simple question, how do you write? Do you write scenes, or do you have images in your mind, or what's the process of developing those scenes? Do they happen once you are there, or do you do research and write based on this? Thanks.
It was all written, but the writing was very much based on, for example, the places and the people. So at some point I knew, for example, like in Marseille, of course I already knew the place because it's there. And then I walked around, and then I wrote the scenes around this place. And then the characters came in slowly, and I started also from very early on to have people like Mauro, for example. He was very early on in my mind. So I also wrote with him because he inspired me. So it was not so clearly divided. But yes, everything is written. Of course, it changes then in editing and so on, but not the core, I would say. And we shot everything that was in the script. So yeah, and then maybe another thing because like there are many things, like also the stories that are being told, to each other, because it's not really dialogues only in the end, but it's like fragments that I collect, but that connected for me, and that's how it comes. So I make notes, and it comes together and ends in these scenes or in the script, and I then try to condense. And it's,
Thank you for the movie. It was really a beautiful movie, nice landscape and everything. I was wondering, I'm not familiar with the history of Corsica. Can you elaborate a bit about the role of the military that is still there? And we also saw kind of this plane that kind of is this man, and what they are still doing there.
Yes, this is also everything like really happens there. I mean, of course, then we went there to shoot it, but we at one point we decided to shoot with the Legion. That was also another decision of production, or like how do I position myself in this, because I think it's very easy, of course, to put it down and see like how cruel and how bad all this is, I think. But it was for me too easy. Of course, like the closer you get to something, or you expose yourself, the more complicated it gets, and it's super complex, of course. So these scenes when, for example, the parachutists come down, they do it, I mean, really like every week for training. So I just went with them and filmed this. Also, they are in the landscapes, and because the Legion is it's a combat group, so they are trained in these different landscapes as well. That was also a point that interested me, because they are in the sea, in the mountains, in the desert, in the sky. So it's very much related to this also.
Mm-hmm. Other questions from the audience at the back?
Yeah, to continue on the topic of the Foreign Legion, were you working with them, or did you find individuals that were agreeing to shoot in the movie? Because there is this scene in front of the camp in Corsica. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and I was also wondering how Denis Lavant accepted to come back in the film, mm-hmm. this character.
So yeah, it's part. So there are some legionnaires, the ones you see in the beginning, the one making the bed, for example. Then also the ones in the forest, they are real legionnaires. Because I also wanted. I have not much idea about how they move and how it's structured. So I wanted them to do. They know best. I mean, it's all like they are super trained and know how to do that. For some scenes, we also had like extras or cast, because it was different in some places. In some places, we were allowed to show faces, and some not. So we also had to adapt to a certain regime of the Legion. And then the other question you said there was. Denis Lavant. Yes, I mean, I asked him. I wrote him a letter. Telling him what I wanted to do, and he was actually quite glad to go back to Galou, because it's in time. It's also really matching. It's like 25 years, 30 years, and he's that much older. And he had a great memory of his role. In the film, and that was exactly what I was interested in, and also to let him reappear in a place that is, of course, after the independence, there's no French military anymore, but it's still like celebrated as for its past. There's a strange nostalgia that you can find, and. I thought, like, after Beau Travail, in the end it's open, so I could perfectly well imagine someone like him to go back as an eremite and to take place.
Other questions? In the front.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you for the film. It's really beautiful. I think for me, because it's very immersive, and it somehow took me to this world. It's like a very experiential film, and I think that's why I really don't need the message. Mm-hmm. It's the experience itself, like that I experienced while watching the film, and. I think it's really important to me. That's why, for me, it's beautiful. I'm just curious about challenges that you experienced, like one of the unforgettable challenges that you encounter while you are making this film. Yeah.
The most challenging, actually, let me think. No, I think the most challenging came really from outside. That was, of course, that we wanted to shoot in Algeria, the ending, and I don't know if you know about the situation, but then there was a change of government, and then came the pandemic, and then they closed down the country, and we tried for 2 years to enter it. So, and it wasn't possible. It wasn't possible for many, because then many things happened in the region, like between Morocco and Germany, between Algeria and Morocco, between France and all this. So suddenly we were kind of all involved in this. It felt like a thriller at some point, like only the production, because we were talking to embassy, and I don't know, it was crazy. And I hold on. That's why we shot the end 1 year later, because I still hold on to this wish to really go there, because I had read so much, talked so much to people from Algeria, and I really wanted to go there. At some point, I had to accept that it's not possible, and that it's also out of my power, out of our power to do it. So there was then this decision to go to Morocco to shoot and to find a place that could resemble Sidi Bel Abbes. And now I think it's also something that is now inscribed into the film. You know, it's also reality. It's like one more layer. You don't need to know it. It's not explicitly told, of course, but it's there, and it tells something. And this is also, maybe this also answers a little bit like, again, like this first doubts or feeling lost maybe, is that I think it's certainly not a message in itself, but it's that I believe that knowledge or understanding, the process of understanding, of grasping things, we do it with many senses. It's not only by language and by like rational things, but you see it, and of course, and then you combine differently. But maybe you have to be in a certain state to be able to receive it, not like in general as a person, but also it's also a question of the moment, I think.
No.
That's but this. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Probably I need something more than I myself I could see and feel, and I expected, because I traveled, for example, to Corsica many times, and I also like to ask you, why didn't you show the beautiful landscape? You spoke about landscape, but you didn't show it in the movie. Why?
I think there's a lot of landscape in the film, but it's also not about making, a postcard. It was not about that. I mean, I would love to help you, but I think I can't.
I think we have time for one more question. Oh, there's one back there.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for making the movie. I just had a very minor question. I was wondering about that bit at the end, close to the end, where she covers her head. And I was wondering if you could tease that out for us a little bit.
You mean the on the boat? Still on the boat?
Yeah, I think there's like a white,
the blue
piece of cloth.
No,
is it blue? Okay.
The scarf.
Yeah.
And you question why she has the scarf? No.
No, I was just wondering if you could tease that out. I just wanted to understand that moment a little better. And maybe it's not meant to be understood, but I was just wondering if you could comment on it.
I mean, I loved this moment to shoot it, because it was, I remember when we shot it, I think you remember also when we shot it, it was quite towards the end, and I saw in Ida's face or Angeliki's face, there something very open in this shot. And it was this moment, you see all it's like 4 portraits that you see of people being open or focusing something. And it's and it's about that. I think it's more about this again, like understand, like letting things come in, and then thinking about it. We don't know what they think, but we think maybe with them, so it's that.
Okay, well, thank you so much for discussing the film with us, all of you, and thank you for coming.
Thank you. So.